Hello friends, my name is Vas Solo. Welcome to Why Spirit Matters. Last week, I revealed the first 3 secrets on how to live an amazing life. This week, I'll reveal 3 more. So let's get into it. The 4th principle of harmonious living is non-possessiveness.
This painting here, I bought it 10 years ago for $60,000. I could sell it today for $600. The illusion has become real.
Most of the inequality in the world today is due to our failure in following this principle of non-possessiveness. When I talked about non-stealing in my last video, I explained how most of our unhappiness and stress is caused by our unfulfilled desires. They make us unhappy because they make us focus on what we lack instead of on what we have. They also trick us into believing that our happiness lies in the external world. The illusion of desire is that when we satisfy it, it makes us happy, when in fact, it just gives us relief. It's like feeding a wild animal. You feed the animal once, and then it will come back for more food. And if you don't feed it again, it's going to get upset. It's going to make noise, scratch at your door, dig up your garden, and it'll probably attract other animals that also want food. And before you know it, you're feeding an entire forest. Desires have the same effect, except psychologically. So when we feed our desires, we don't experience happiness, we experience relief from them not disturbing our mind. I talked about this in my habits video, where I explained that when a smoker has a cigarette, they're not actually enjoying the cigarette, they're enjoying the absence of having a craving. So that's how our desires make us their slaves and prevent us from being happy. They also make us selfish and greedy, making us see those who stand between us and them as the enemy.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, greed is
bad. So possessiveness must be overcome if we want an amazing life. Understanding this is the first step. Realizing how our desires disturb the mind makes it easier to let them go. The second step is to cultivate new desires, ones that are in line with our higher nature. Now, I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but not all desires are bad. Having the desire to be virtuous is not the same as wanting to own 30 cars. So, cultivate those desires that align you with the principles of harmonious living. And the third step to overcoming possessiveness is meditation, because meditation helps you to understand your own mind, and it also awakens the center of joy within. Once you start awakening that joy, you become less dependent on external things to make you happy. So, recognize how your desires disturb the mind, find that center of joy within, and you'll overcome possessiveness. The 5th principle is selflessness. In the most basic sense, this means thinking less about ourselves and more about others. See, what disturbs our mind almost more than anything else is when we're consumed by our own problems. This creates a negative vortex of energy in us that sucks all of our goodness into it. Our mind shrinks, we become petty, emotionally unavailable, and the resulting state is misery. One way to get out of this state is to do something selfless, which is as simple as taking our attention off of ourselves and placing it onto someone else. The question to ask is, who can I help and how can I help them? When we do this, our mind starts to expand. That vortex of negativity shrinks and our virtues begin to awaken. This ends up restoring our peace of mind and we end up doing something good for someone. Just imagine a world where people are constantly thinking of others. It would be paradise. Now, there's also a deeper dimension to selflessness, which is found in all spiritual teachings, which say that the self that we think is us, the ego, is not the real self. The self behind the ego, with a capital S, is who we are. So, the deeper dimensions of this practice involve letting go of the trappings of our ego and cultivating the qualities of the soul, which happen to be our virtues and which we cultivate by aligning ourselves with these principles of harmonious living. Something else that helps us go beyond the ego is the practice of meditation. because meditation expands the mind and it allows us to attain higher states of consciousness where we can actually watch the ego, and that's when we realize that that's not who we are. So, by practicing meditation and by doing selfless things for others, you'll be practicing this principle.
I took a shower washing every body part with Astral soap, including all my major crevices, including in between my toes and in my belly button.
You may have heard the expression, cleanliness is next to godliness. We practice this principle on two levels, external and internal cleanliness. External cleanliness means keeping the body clean, keeping your clothes clean, and keeping your living space clean and organized. When our external space is clean and organized, it creates a sense of ease in our mind. For example, recently I just did a purge of a bunch of old documents and knickknacks that I'd collected over the course of 10 years. And I can't tell you how good that felt. So, on the external level, make sure to keep the body clean, clothes clean, and where you live clean. Internal cleanliness means having a healthy body and a purified mind. An unhealthy body is full of toxins, which imbalances the mind. So, keep the body healthy by exercising regularly, eating healthy, getting enough rest, and avoid taking intoxicants. Cleanliness of the mind means purity of thought. In other words, having a positive mind. When the mind is negative, it prevents us from experiencing our own inner joy. And that's when we run to the objects of the world for that happiness. Now, to keep the mind in a positive state, we want to avoid negative influences, such as negative media, negative surroundings, and negative people. If you've ever been around someone that constantly complains, you know how draining it is. You can learn more about which types of media to avoid by watching this video here. And you can also learn more about how to keep the mind in a positive, uplifted state by watching this video here. I'll post links to them in the description. When it comes to keeping the mind in a positive state, always remember, as you think, so you become. I realized this while I was going through recovery for drug addiction, and I did my inventory, which involved me looking at all of my character defects. When I saw that I was full of pride, selfishness, dishonesty, I realized that that was the filter that I was seeing the world through. And once I decided to let those things go and to cultivate the more positive aspects of my being, that's when my life completely changed. And that's why cleanliness, both external and internal, are so important if we want to live that amazing life. So, let go of all of those negative, toxic thoughts and start cultivating those that bring you joy. And that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to hear the rest of these principles, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. I upload one video every single week talking about the spiritual path, talking about self-improvement, and big ideas. I encourage you to start practicing these principles as soon as you finish watching this video. And then come back later and post in your comments what your results are. I'd love to hear from you. That's it for me, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next time.